This is Smiles TV. Welcome to Smiles TV. You're watching the best community affairs broadcast in the land. We got some great guests for you today, and please stay tuned and watch this broadcast. First up is going to be James Ingram. James Ingram is a columnist for the St. Louis American newspaper, and this guy is going to give us some candid conversation regarding COVID-19 and the African American community. Also, after James, we're going to have a Vincent Rhodes. He's a minister who wants to give his opinions on what's going on nationwide, worldwide with COVID-19. And we're going to wrap everything up with What's on Your Mind with Dr. Desarie Holmes. Don't go away. Remember, Jesus Christ was born of a virgin. He was crucified and buried, and he rose on the third day. Confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord. Believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, and thou shalt be saved. Stay tuned for more smiles.
Hi, my name is Sterling Moody. I'm the owner of Neighbors Market, 1005 North 15th Street, on the Echo Jazz building across from Emerson Park Metrolink stop. We have fresh barbecue Friday and Saturdays. We have Sunday through Saturday, open from 7 to 7. Look forward to seeing you in the store.
When you visit Big Mama's in East St. Louis, Illinois, located at 5900 St. Clair Avenue, you will need a fork and a bib. Big Mama's is known for their barbecue, cakes, excellent service, and giving back to the community. Call in, eat in, drive through, carry out. Order for your office. You can call Big Mama's at 618-398-8950 or visit 5900 St. Clair Avenue in East St. Louis, Illinois. Welcome back to Smiles TV. Today we will be talking with James Ingram, a good friend of mine, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about James. In addition to his journalism experience, James has appeared in the documentary Bloody Island, which focuses on the 1917 race riots in East St. Louis, Illinois. He is also co-author of the book The Making of an All-American City, East St. Louis. He was a contributing author for the ebook St. Louis Currents, the bi-state region after a century of planning. James has also extensive experience as a radio talk show host for stations KKWK, WESL, and WGNU Radio, as well as being a columnist for the award-winning St. Louis American newspaper, and has provided sports commentary on the NFL St. Louis Rams for Inbox Magazine. James, welcome to Smiles TV.
My pleasure.
I read an article that you recently did in the St. Louis American, and it was hard-hitting, and it talked about the African-American community. We're going through some rough times right now, and some people just don't know what to do. Others are overdoing things. Give us your thoughts on the African-American community, and as you've noticed and as you've seen, it's hitting our community very, very hard. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, thank you as always for having me here and giving me an opportunity on your platform to kind of share my thoughts and opinions. I have a piece in the St. Louis American. Anybody can access it. All they have to do is go to stlamerican.com, look under the Columnist tab, and it'll be right there. And the essence of the piece is that our inability to stay 6 feet apart will probably inevitably put us 6 feet under. And I'm speaking more specifically to the Black community, which is who I'm concerned with. Other communities have access to resources. Ours is at a deficit in terms of having similar access. And what I observed in the piece was based upon me kind of driving through East St. Louis and kind of observing my people, and also looking in the social media and on TV, on national TV, watching Black folks and how they operate. And it's almost as if we're oblivious to the reality that we exist in right now in terms of having to socially distance, that there's a pandemic going on, that we don't need to be out in public spaces without the benefit of having masks on. And I noticed I was coming down State Street in East St. Louis, and I saw people at a particular popular takeout Chinese spot, probably 15, 20 cars surrounding this building, people in the lobby, no masks on, all on top of each other. The antithesis of what we should be doing right now. Then in a couple of neighborhoods I was in, there were people that's having public barbecues and parties and this sort of thing outside. And we shouldn't be doing these sorts of things, particularly since we're disproportionately dying from COVID, not contracting it, but dying from it. So we don't have the luxury to be out in public, having barbecues and being on top of each other without any kind of protective gear on. And, I know that there are other people in other communities that are fighting the instructions to stay at home and shelter in place and all these other things. That's their problem. I'm more concerned about Black folks, because the reason that we're suffering is because we have pre-existing conditions, diabetes, hypertension, and other issues that make us more predisposed to succumbing from COVID. And it's almost as if we don't care. And so the purpose of the piece was to educate some of us in terms of not engaging in some of this behavior that makes us more vulnerable to the pandemic.
Well, you know what, James? Some people, and my next guest coming up has a lot of different theories, but some people just refuse to believe that this is really happening. Some people are saying that, yes, people are dying. However, maybe they're fudging the numbers. What are your thoughts about that? I personally feel like regardless of what we think, we do know people are dying, and we should protect ourselves and others as well.
I don't think they're fudging the numbers. I think the numbers are probably worse than what we're hearing. I have a 105-year-old grandmother that I was just notified recently who has contracted COVID. She's in a nursing facility in South Dakota. I got an opportunity to visit her back during the Thanksgiving holiday. And, this is really where it's really going down, is in the nursing facilities, in the prisons, where people don't have the luxury to self-isolate. And the other thing that's interesting is that there's a lot of urban mythology. I'm not into all of these conspiracy theories about, who's going after us. We know that we're not valued in this society. Okay, get over it. We know that that's what's going on. So we need to do the things that we need to do to protect ourselves. A lot of mythology goes on in the Black community. Initially, when this pandemic broke out, there was a myth going around that Black folks couldn't contract the coronavirus until Idris Elba got it, until Kevin Durant got it, until Babyface got it, and some of these Black celebrities got it, and then people woke up and said, uh-oh, I guess Black people can get it. The difference is when you got those individuals that I named, including white celebrities like Tom Hanks and so forth, they have the luxury of having mansions and wealth. So if they need to self-quarantine, they can do it. One of them can go in one wing of their mansion or the other wing of the mansion and isolate themselves like a Chris Cuomo on national news until they're over it, and then they can make it. But if you have 10 people in a household on top of each other, it's difficult to constantly have to clean. You got one bathroom. You have very limited space to operate and to do the things that you need to do to self-quarantine. So we are at a deficit, at a disadvantage in terms of being able to do some of the things that you need to do once you've determined that you've got the virus. The other thing is, up until recently, there was a lack of testing facilities within the Black community. I think now we got a couple of places in East St. Louis at the Jackie Joyner Kersey Center and over at the Windsor Center, but there's still not enough for us. And I think many of us won't get tested, particularly if they're asymptomatic. So there's a lot that's going on. I'm sure I'd be interested in hearing some of the theories, but I'm not into conspiracy theories. I don't worry about the things that I can't control. I'm worried about the things that I can control.
What do you think about reopening the country? Do you think they're talking about reopening things a little bit too soon, or you think they're on target? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, given that we got a moron in the White House who's not given any guidance throughout this pandemic, who essentially dismissed it back as far as January, when it actually took place. We know now that he was briefed on several occasions about this pandemic, and he dismissed it as being a rumor, an innuendo. It's not factually true, and he allowed this thing to catch fire when, in fact, he could have got on top of it, like China and Korea and some of these other places. So as a result, we're in a position now where it would be foolish to open up. I know as we record this today, St. Louis and St. Louis County is attempting to reopen. I think it is the dumbest thing that they could do at this juncture, because when we look at Georgia, when we look up around Cook County, when we look at around other places around the country, in Florida, where the beaches have opened, other places have opened, concurrent with their reopening has been a spike in people contracting the disease. So we're opening up too early, and we're sacrificing our health, for the sake of trying to restart this economy. And let's make no mistake about it with President Trump, and I use that term president loosely. This is about politics with him. He can't get out and have these big rallies that he likes to have and get out and speak to the people that voted for him. So what he wants to do is he wants to use these briefings as political rallies and whip up the public interest in voting for him. And what's going to happen is people are going to get out and get this virus, and they're going to die in numbers for the sake of trying to restart this economy. And what's going to happen, it's going to spike, and we're going to go right back to point zero, and they're going to have to shut everything back down.
You know what? I'm very, very unsettled with the fact that they're talking about reopening. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. I will say this, because I understand the feelings and emotions you have regarding President Trump. But personally, all of them, Democrats, Republicans, all of them are making a mockery of us as a people. So I guess I don't just place all the blame there. I blame the entire structure. But then I go back to China when things first came out, and the lack of information that they really were sending us. So, the whole whatever the situation is, be it Trump, be it the Democrats, whatever, we are in a crisis and we're dying, and no one seems to care about that. I think it's all about the dollar bill, and whenever we place dollars over lives, you're going to have a problem, and and that's just how that goes. So, what advice would you give the regular resident, the East St. Louis and the African Americans in Detroit, wherever around the world? They want to reopen, but that doesn't mean that we have to reopen. That's my thoughts. What are words of wisdom would you give?
Follow the science. That's what I would tell them to do. If you're looking, and I don't inundate myself with TV all day. If I get the report in the morning and maybe get it in the evening, that's good enough. I don't need to depress myself by listening to the numbers all day. I know it's bad, but what I would encourage them to do is follow the science. If you need to wear protective gear, you need to wear a mask, you need to stay at home as much as possible. You need to wash your hands frequently. You need to, if you can have access to it, get hand sanitizer and these sorts of things. Avoid touching your face without unclean hands, if at all possible. You just need to exercise as many measures as you can to make sure that your home is sanitary and that you avoid big groups. I mean, we can't go sit in restaurants, and I don't care what they're opening up. We can't go and sit in there and eat. You've seen reports about how the germs spread rapidly in closed company. Your desire to get out and kick it and have a good time, all of that stuff, you'll have opportunity to do that stuff. Nobody loves to go on vacation more than I do. I like going on cruises and vacationing and doing those things, but I'm not going anywhere right now until this thing is passed and it is stopped. The spread has slowed down considerably. and that it's within a controllable means of allowing us to do those things, you have to exercise common sense at some point. And I understand what you were saying about the politics. My issue with Trump is that he mismanaged the pandemic. He had the information and he knew that it was coming, and he totally ignored it because he's not a person who's into information. He doesn't read. He's not intellectually curious, and that's the case. President Obama left him a playbook for dealing with this pandemic, and as much as he's trying to pan President Obama, he didn't follow that playbook. He dismissed it because of his personal hatred for this man, and this country is paying a price for it as a result.
You know what? I'm getting word that we got to wrap up, but you mentioned earlier how this is affecting prisons, and I know that you deal with the prison reentry program. How's that going, James?
Going well. Well, we're really into a position now where a lot of the services that were previously offered to the prison reentry population are going to have to be offered virtually. I've done some work, particularly, I've done some stuff in East St. Louis, but in St. Louis County, I've dealt with prisoners for over 10 years. And even the probation and parole officers are trying to come up with a virtual model for case management and to deal with them, because we're in unprecedented times and nobody saw this coming. So now they're scurrying to try to come up with ways to be able to effectively address the prison population as well as those who've been released, so that they can still get the services, be monitored, be supervised in a constructive way. But make no doubt about it, everybody's having to change the way they operate and do business, whether it's the prisoner reentry population, the nursing home facility. My mother has Alzheimer's. She's in a facility. We can't go physically visit, but what you can do is you can make arrangements to visit them on Skype as I'm talking to you now, or to go to have them to push you to the window where you can talk. There are things that can be done, but we're just going to have to come up with other ways of doing what we do. I know you're a God-fearing person. It is dumb. I'm speaking to my church-going folks. I also attend church, to try to press your pastor to open the church doors up so you can go, because you know how black folks do. We want to hug and kiss on each other. This is not the time to do all of that. You need to stop it. Listen to church, view church online for the time being until it is safe to go back and not contaminate each other.
And actually, the church I go to now, that's what we're doing. We're doing church online, and I'm grateful to be able to do that. But we're going to have to wrap up, James. I want to thank you again for your candid conversations, and keep writing those great articles.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure as always.
Stay tuned for more Smiles. Don't go away. James Ingram, award-winning journalist for the St. Louis American newspaper. Stay tuned for more Smiles.
When in need of residential and commercial construction projects, from roofing, siding, flooring, including all interior carpentry, painting, and more, you need a company that is efficient, effective, and professional. A company that will complete the job on time. You need On Time Contracting Incorporated. On Time Contracting provides quality work completed in a timely manner. Oliver McDowell, founder and owner of On Time Contracting, is insured and bonded, and provides an array of services for residential and commercial facilities. Contact On Time Contracting for your many residential or commercial construction, roofing, cleaning, or other needs at 618-567-3591. That's 618-567-3591. On Time Contracting Incorporated. Your project can indeed be completed on time.
Welcome back to Smiles TV. I told you James Ingram had a lot to say, but now we're going to move on to Minister Vincent Rhodes. Vincent Rhodes is the pastor of True Vine Christian Center. He also has a daycare center for children called Be Kids, and is located at 5200 North Illinois Street in Fairview Heights, Illinois. Minister Rhodes, how are you?
Well, how you doing, Stephanie? It's good to see you again, and it's been a while since we've been talking, and I'm grateful that you're having me on.
Oh,
I'm doing
Vincent,
great now.
I am blessed. And you know what? You look just like you did in high school. Just got a little more gray. A little gray.
I got a lot more gray.
You haven't changed much at all.
I did a little bit of coloring.
Vincent, we're having some very rough times right now. Coronavirus, COVID-19, mask or no mask?
Yeah.
That's my first question, mask or no mask?
If I had said last year, that this was going to happen, probably people would have thought we were nuts. And if anyone would have said that we were all going to have to walk around with masks, then probably would have been considered to be a conspiracy theorist or something like that. I mean, can you imagine all of the baseball stadiums, all of the movie theaters, everything shut down, schools shut down, and the entire world now wearing masks. And it just is amazing, remarkable to say the least. It's almost like the greatest science fiction movie you've ever seen. But I choose in my own personal conviction, I respect the governor and the laws of the country and that kind of thing. But I choose in my own personal walk with the Lord, to depend on God, because we've always depended on him. Since I was a kid, and I'm talking about, again, I'm from the 60s, so I have never seen a time in my life when we all had to walk around with masks. If that's going to be the way it's going to be, I'm ready to see Jesus.
I know, right?
I mean, to be honest with you, I think that masks ought to be a choice. And I think, again, going back to what we've always said, a lot of times in some circles, they say my body, my choice. I don't see how by me not wearing a mask is going to protect the other person. So if the person decides that they're going to wear a mask because they're around me and they're afraid of me, then that's fine. They can do that all they want to. But I think we're depriving people of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And these are very fundamental principles that are found in, the Constitution, preamble of the United States: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we should be free to pursue happiness. So I have never worn a mask during the whole time of this outbreak, because I feel that, confident that God is going to, we're going to get past this. And I feel that if there is something in the air, we're going to get past that too.
So I understand your thoughts, because God has not given us a spirit of fear, but power,
right,
love, and a sound mind. And
right.
so I definitely understand that. But he does also give us wisdom.
Yes.
And let's say that this is real and that, we are spreading the virus via coughing or just simply breathing, and droplets are falling on people. Wouldn't it be wise, just for precautionary sake, to wear it? Because we understand that, and except the Lord keep the house,
right,
who keep it in vain. In essence, it doesn't matter what we do, because God is really in control of life and death. So, but what is, in your eyesight, what are the problems with wearing the mask?
Well, I will say this. The problem with wearing the mask is that the mask is unhealthy. And most people don't know that. The CDC came out with an article in the very beginning talking about the mask was an unhealthy thing to do. The mask disrupts your pH balance, and the mask causes your pH balance to go from an alkaline state to an acidic state. And we already know that when we go from an alkaline state to an acidic state, then we end up having setting up other symptoms where your immune system actually drops. There is such a thing called herd immunity. And herd immunity is when everyone gets together and the virus or whatever bacteria is in the air is actually defeated by the group of people actually keeping close contact with one another. And so herd immunity is better than us staying 6 feet apart and locking ourselves in the house. What's remarkable about this is that even the research has shown this to be true. When it came out to New York was trying to figure out how is it that over 66% of the people who had stayed away from people, wore masks, washed their hands, and did all of this social distancing, still they ended up going to the hospital with the coronavirus. They were locked in their houses. They never left. They stayed at home. But 66% of them who covered their mouth and did all of the things that they were told to do ended up they were more exposed to the coronavirus, or their system was more weakened. And so they ended up having more of the coronavirus at home than the people who were out in the fresh air with their face uncovered and doing the natural thing that God has always given us to do. God has given us a environment that cleanses itself. We have trees that breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. So we have a situation outside where it's much more healthier to be outside and uncover your mouth. Let me just say this other thing too about a mask. If I were to take and use the car example, you would think that I was for trying to change the operating directives of a car. So a car is designed where it has a tailpipe. It blows out the tailpipe, the exhaust, and then in the front of the car, it has an intake valve, which is by the carburetor. And so the carburetor breathes in and the tailpipe breathes out. If I were to plug up the tailpipe and then also close off the carburetor, I'm killing the car. And the same thing is true for us as people. We're ultimately going to look back on this time in history and figure out we were really foolish. We were doing something we didn't know what we were doing.
So I
and
have
we
a
should have left
question.
that in the hands of God.
So
ahead.
I have a question. Why do you think, or do you agree that this thing has hit the African American community harder than most communities? Is that a fact or fallacy?
Well, let me just say this. Okay, now, whenever this thing happened, let's go back. We're talking about Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci, who is now advising Donald Trump, and I don't even understand what's going on in Washington, and I'm not political. But I'm saying Dr. Fauci, who has been advising Donald Trump, was the same doctor who was actually advising other doctors, other presidents during the time of the AIDS epidemic. When the AIDS epidemic came out, the first thing that they did is said that the Black community was overwhelmingly, disproportionately being affected by the AIDS virus, which is not true. It's the same thing that is going on today. Now, all of a sudden, Black people are they are disproportionately being affected by the coronavirus. Propaganda is something that we need to be aware of in the Black community. And propaganda is being used against us many places that we trust, because you don't get the dollars for advertisement on BET unless you say what they want you to say. And a lot of times we will take the money and just let them say whatever they say. We have a bunch of, I don't mean to be racist, but we do have a bunch of white liberals that will tell the community, okay, here's what's going on in the Black community, when they don't have any statistical data in order to actually say that. They just are making assumptions and saying things that sound like it's going to resonate with the Black community, so that the Black community can fold over and be the first people to be tested. And if you want some historical evaluation on that, let's just look at what they did to us during the Tuskegee times. When the Tuskegee experiments were going on, they went down there and they started giving people syphilis, and they were using Black people as test subjects for syphilis, and the Black community trustingly went to the people who were the doctors of that time, the white doctors, and they were trusting them because they had the medical expertise. And because we don't have the medical expertise, we don't have the actual ability to use wisdom in terms of medicine, we often trust propaganda machines and doctors and professionals to make decisions for us when we should be using our own brain. And look, it's 2020. We're smarter than this now.
Let's shift gears a little bit. So looking at this pandemic, or some people call it a planned demic, a pandemic, whatever you want to call it. It is the whole world is involved here.
Right.
And biblically speaking, you know, I've read the book of Revelation, and I need to go back and do some more study to get a greater understanding. However, biblically speaking, this looks very scary to me. Although I don't have that spirit of fear, but it's an eye opener to say, hey, if this is not prior to the rapture, what are we dealing with? What does this mean, biblically speaking, in your eyesight?
You know, the beautiful thing about what's going on now is that people can actually see that this is far more broader than politics. And oftentimes what we do is we try to settle on politics and say, hey, this is about politics. This is not about politics at all. This is about a world takeover, from a group of people who are involved in a cult where they have established dominance over the entire world because they have used their money for years to brainwash people and give them a false view of the world. Look, the Bible says very plainly in Psalms chapter 2 that the kings of the earth have conspired together against the Lord and his anointed. And the anointed is Jesus Christ. And so we can see it very plainly now. And this is really beautiful because we have never had a time in history when people really came to realize what was really going on. We can see now that all of the leaders are aligning themselves with the same message. We don't know who is in charge of them, but we do see that they are puppets. And now we also understand that the news media is saying the same exact thing that all of the leaders are saying. So we understand that how could this be possible except there be one voice speaking through all of them, and they have all turned and aligned themselves in the same direction. So what we are seeing now is a worldwide takeover. Now, the Bible says very pointedly in Revelation chapter 13 that will happen. In Revelation chapter 6, it says that the white horse will show up, the rider of the white horse. Remember they used to sing the song, if you want to ride, don't ride the white horse? Well, they were really speaking something prophetically because that rider of the white horse will be the Antichrist. And the Antichrist will make his appearance on the scene. And the Bible says the whole world will worship him. The whole world will do what he says do, except for those people who have discernment from the Lord and whose name is written in the Lamb's book of life. Those people will not be deceived, but the entire world will be deceived. And so some of the things that they're doing right now to test to see whether or not we can be deceived is requiring us to do things that really are kind of silly, wearing a mask. And I don't mean to insult anybody, but if I see you with a mask on outside, I understand that you have been influenced by the media. Now, look, if there was not any news broadcast, would you know that there was such a thing as the coronavirus? You know, just ask you if there was a meeting, if there was never anything came across the news, would you know that the coronavirus was as dangerous as they say it is? Every single day, it's like clockwork. They use that propaganda machine, which is the news media, on every station worldwide to tell us the same identical message. The only place that ever happened in history was during the time of the Rwandans and the Hutus. And they caused the Rwandans and the Hutus to actually turn on one another by using the media to constantly give the same message of hatred against one group of Hutus against the Rwandans, and they ended up massacring one another.
You know what? So, we live in an insane world. And you actually have a book out. Yeah. How to have a sound mind in an insane world. Overcoming
I got a copy right here. Yeah.
So tell us just a little bit, because we have to wrap this up now, a little bit about your book and how people can get it. And you also have a YouTube channel and encourage people to watch that as well.
Yeah, and what my YouTube channel is Vincent Rhodes, and then it's Vincent Rhodes Live. So you don't have to look for. As a matter of fact, if you type me into the search engine of Google, even though even though maybe Google doesn't like what I put out, because I don't go with the mainstream narrative. And if you're interested in that, look me up. But just type in Vincent Rhodes, and I should just be all over the place on Google. And my book is at Amazon, amazon.com/shop/Vincent Rhodes. And I also have some other products on there for your health and your nutrition and that kind of thing. So, some of them are at a discount. And go over there and check it out, because we're going to need all the help we can get. Now, the book, again, is How to Have a Sound Mind in an Insane World. I also have another book called Graven Image, and you might just check that out. And but the book, How to Have a Sound Mind in an Insane World, was just kind of like out of a sermon that I did, and talking to the membership of the church about how to not allow the devil to take over your mind. And
Okay, I do have another
question. The Bible says that we are not to have a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And so this book here is just a book filled with all of the things that we're going through today. That it's a book of encouragement, and it's not to beat down anybody, just to encourage you in the Lord, so that you won't be afraid, because the Bible says 1,000 shall fall at our side, 10,000 at our right hand, and no evil plague shall come near thee. If this is a weapon, the Bible says no weapon that is formed against me shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against me, has been condemned. If you got to go with the word of God. The Bible lets us know that, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for the Lord is with me. You need that word in you more than you need to just hear from these professionals. A lot of times we'll hear from these professionals, and they're not giving us quite the right information. They have an agenda, just like they had with Tuskegee. They had an agenda today, and I don't necessarily trust everything I hear. I use my own mind, and this is what the Bible says. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. It says, do not be conformed to the world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's what it really I'm all about. So thanks for giving me an opportunity.
Last question, and you don't have to elaborate, but just tell me, church right now or no church?
I think the church is always needed. To say the church is not essential is just a fallacy.
Well, I will say this. The church is absolutely needed. Jesus is the head of the church. My church, we do still gather. We still come together through Zoom, or through the online teaching and preaching, and our small groups do the same thing. So thank you so much, Vincent. I love you, miss seeing you. I'm glad to see you're doing well. I still say, yes, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. Yeah. And I just personally think with that means taking precautions, because only God can keep us anyway. You guys check out Vincent Rhodes Ministries. And thank you again.
All right. God bless you.
God bless you too. Don't go away. We're coming right back with What's on Your Mind with Dr. Des. Welcome back. We've had some great conversations, some interesting thoughts. Some things I agree with, some things I don't, but they're all thought-provoking. And many of us have ideas and anxieties and thoughts about what's going on today. And yes, we are here with What's on Your Mind with Dr. Des. Dr. Desarie Holmes, how are you?
What's going on, family? How you doing? I'm good.
I am blessed. We have missed you. You look great. COVID-19 is doing well by you. And I just want to welcome you back. Yeah, you got an afro, and you just, you're looking great, Dr. Des. We're living in some very different times. And a lot of things are going on within our world. I can't even just say the community, the world. You have some ideas about how to help people cope with these times. We had a couple of guests on prior to you, and there were some
Right.
thoughts and some things shared. And I'm sure after listening to that, people might even be more anxious. Help us out, Dr. Des. What's on your mind?
You know what? Thank you so very much. What's on my mind? What is absolutely on my mind is the care about managing and maintaining your well-being, right? So in this new normal and all of this stress that's going on, I was sharing with a friend yesterday, at one point, novel coronavirus, it was over there. It was something that was over there. And then when it came to the States, it was still over there because it started in Washington State, and then it was in New York State. So it was still over there, but now it's here. And it's hitting us, right? And we have family members, we have friends. In the month of April, I had 3 people that I know personally close to that died, tested positive for COVID-19. I spoke with someone else yesterday, and he had a family member who tested positive from COVID-19 and passed away. So it's here, and it's hitting us, and it's hitting us at a level. So our anxiety is very high because what was over there is now here. And so I just want to touch on some practical, helpful hints. It's not going to eliminate your anxiety, but it can help to manage it in such a way and bring it down, because we still need to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves and that we are maintaining our mental health.
And that's exactly what we need to know.
Right. So let's start with the physical component. We need to make sure that we are getting exercise, that we are maintaining some level of daily activity. You got to move. Whether you can, some of us were able to go outside and walk around in our neighborhood, go for a walk, take a walk. You can still walk in a park. You're still doing your social distancing. If you need some scenery, go for a walk. I get on my elliptical machine every morning. I do 30 minutes on my elliptical machine, and then I do an additional 15, 20 minutes of floor exercises. I've thrown in some hand weights. If you can't do that, you can sit in your chair, take a broom handle, and you can use your broom handle to move from side to side, to do some bends. Try to do some stretches, try to stretch, try to, touch your toes. If you can't touch your toes, touch your knees.
Okay.
Do something to try to, get your heart rate up and bring your blood pressure down. So physical activity is a must. You've got to move. The other thing that we really need to be very, very careful of is your diet. A personal story. I was talking to my brother. We were video chatting the other day, and I looked at my brother and I said, "Man, what's going on with you?" I said, "You look like you put on about 15, 20 pounds." And he said, "Yeah, Des, I've gained a good 15, 20 pounds, sheltering in place," right?
Right. I think we all have gained. Real talk, because we're in the house, and a lot of us, we're coping by eating, right? Because, and we're cooking. That's the other thing. We're cooking more because you can't go out to the restaurant, and so we're cooking more. So we might be cooking more. We may be cooking heavier, right? So watch what we're eating. Healthy diets, healthy snacks. If you're a snacker, I'm a bit of a grazer. So I make sure I keep fruit, nuts in the house, vegetables, that type of thing. So watch your diet. Try to be very careful with what you're eating. The other thing, stay connected. In this world of isolation and withdrawal, we have people who are single, who they're sheltering in place by themselves, or we have people that already have some pre-existing mental health issues, and their natural component is to isolate and withdraw. So we have to draw them out. So call and check on people. Make sure that you're calling, checking in, whether you're calling, Skyping, Zooming, emailing, texting. Stay connected. But caution. So when people want to engage in negative conversation, guess what you do? You 86 all that. Right.
86, all of that.
That's right.
Let that go. Do it in love. You don't have to be rude, but you can certainly tell people, I'm sorry, you know what? I got to go. Cut the conversation. You know why? Because we're already being inundated with so much information, with all of this coronavirus, COVID-19, we're constantly being bombarded with the number of deaths that are going up, the number of infections, and then you still have just regular stuff that's going on in the news as well. It's overwhelming. So you've got to monitor what you're taking in so that you're keeping your mind in a place.
So you know what, Dr. Des, believe it or not, our time is wrapping up already, but you have given some great insights, and I'm sure you got a couple of more things that you want to share. So for our mental health, real quickly, I think the best thing that you've said is don't take in the negative and keep our minds fresh and things of that nature. Some people think the coronavirus is not real. Some people think that it's so real that if you look outside, you'll get it. So how do we navigate between the two of those thoughts?
That's a great question. And so, you have to navigate, you have to do what's best for yourself. If you are a type of person and you know that you have underlying health conditions that put you at greater risk, if you were, I operate from a standpoint that everybody is a potential carrier, that people are infected. So for myself, I am doing my mask, I do my gloves, I drink my hot lemon water when I come in, I get over my stove and I do the old-fashioned facial. Remember back in the day,
I
the
do.
old-fashioned facial?
My kids laugh at me, but I do understand.
I do that to make sure, I'm kind of cleansing out my sinus cavity area. So do those things that you know to do. Now, if you're the type of person that you feel like is not real, is fake, and I'm going on about my business, that's you, but don't jeopardize my life, okay? Because my life is important to me.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I value my life, and I value everyone else's.
Dr. Des, so we're going to have to start up again. This is the reentry to What's on Your Mind with Dr. Des. And thank you for taking time from your home to be on the Smile Skype. We love you, we miss you, and you take precautions because only God can keep us for real, right?
Right. So exactly. So everybody stay healthy, be blessed, continue to do what you do, transforming lives and renewing mind. What's on your mind with Dr. Des? Thank you so very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you again. And thank you for watching Smiles Television. I want to thank all of our guests, all the thought-provoking information that has gone forth today. Remember, only what you do for Christ will last. Keep smiling. You look better when you smile. And Jesus is the Lord. The Lord be magnified.
The Smiles Television Talk Show wants to showcase your business, organization, church, and activities. If you have an interest in being a guest on Smiles Television Talk Show, or if you have any show ideas, contact Stephanie Anthony Miles at smilestv777@gmail.com. You may also call 618-741-3770. Tell your friends to subscribe to the Smiles YouTube channel. Let Smiles TV increase your reach. Remember, you look better with smiles. IDEX Media does a lot. From IDEX Photography to IDEX Films. We help create forever memories and forever impressions. Imagination, image a world. IDEX Media.
Awesome sauce. Yeah, baby.